Yeah, so we want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well. Salutations to the Akim and the Four Winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you Akwathium, listen and learn it in silence and in meekness under your husband or your spiritual leader. Yeah, this your brother Ram Yahweh with the lesson. And it says LA Times latest on drought as talks on Colorado's river water falter. U.S. government impose new restrictions. The water level in Lake Mead, the nation's largest reservoir, has been dropping amid several drought conditions and has reached its lowest point since Hoover Dam was built in the 1930s. After the Colorado Basin states failed to meet a deadline for emergency drought reductions Tuesday, the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation announced new emergency water cuts for Arizona, Nevada, and Mexico as the nation's second largest reservoirs decline to pre-Wickles levels, perilously levels. Yeah, Salakia, yeah, perilously low levels. Yeah, so, and that's not the only place, right? It ain't just in America, right? Europe also is having problems with their water. So the power of Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, is moving through the whole earth like he said he would, man. The prophecies are being fulfilled, right? Because what? Perilous times shall come, right?
If you see me, weep. That's what's engraved in German onto these stones in the Elbe River. I mean, who doesn't love an ancient curse? Okay, this isn't exactly ancient. The engraving dates back to the year 1616. It's not even a curse, but I mean, it's kind of menacing, right? It's part of a collection of boulders along the Elbe River running through modern-day Germany and the Czech Republic called hunger stones. Every so often, Europe experiences drought severe enough for the waters of the river to recede and expose these engravings, which were created to warn future generations of what they could expect when the water levels get that low. A Czech paper on the phenomenon cites researchers as saying, quote, "It expressed that drought had brought a bad harvest, lack of food, high prices, and hunger for poor people. Before 1900, the following droughts are commemorated on the stone: 1417, 1616, 1707, 1746, 1790, 1800, 1811, 1830, 1842, 1868, 1892, and 1893, end quote. So obviously, this is a common enough situation, as horrible as it is, despite the fear-mongering today about man-made climate change making things, worse than we've ever seen before. The last time the waters receded this much in modern times was actually just back in 2018. But even then, tourists were flocking to the hunger stones, like one in Desen, in a town in the Czech Republic, which is one of the oldest hydrological landmarks in Central Europe. However, this time, scientists at the European Drought Observatory say this year's drought, August of 2022, is now on track to be the worst one, perhaps in 500 years. And with that, I'm all out of time for tonight. Hopefully you learned something interesting to take with you into the weekend. Until then, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and now Truth Social at Tipping Point OAN. Or my personal...
These people are looking for any shred of hope, right? Because, the chick was saying in that video, well, I guess it's happened before, but this is going to be, what did the Lord say? A time like none other, right? So they're looking for any shred of so-called hope, and,
Your local Las Vegas weather.
And we are tracking some thunderstorms around Pahrump. We'll get to those in just a second, but I've had so many people asking, is all this rain, are all these thunderstorms helping Lake Mead water levels? So I want to dive into the numbers with you and show you that yes, it has helped out. Now the level of Lake Mead, 1,042 feet, a little more than that. That's the elevation of Lake Mead right now. When we look at the past 12 days, in less than 2 weeks, we're up 19 inches. That's a foot and a half above where we were just 2 weeks ago. Now, when you look at that and compared to where we were a year ago, we still have a lot of ground to make up. We're more than 25 feet below where we were 1 year ago today. But the rain does help, and what also helps is if you turn off your irrigation as well after you get a nice downpour. You can turn it off for a few days if you get enough rain, and certainly more rain chances are on the way. And the biggest determining factor on how those water levels look at Lake Mead is how much snowpack we see up in the Rockies. That is what feeds the Colorado River system. Outside...
Yeah, see, he's had people calling in and, hey, what's going on? We got a lot of rain. You think that can help? They're looking for hope. But then, even with the little bit of rain that we did get, like you said, it pulled it up 19, but it's still 25, and that's before last year. And then that's probably lower. The last year was lower than it was before. Than the 1930s, right? So each year, it's lower and lower, but then the Lord says a day like none other. Now, like I said, my personal opinion to a lot of this, I believe it's the elite taking a lot of that. Not to say there ain't no actual natural things to this, but I think a lot of that is the elite. They know what's going on as far as prophecy, kind of, sort of, it's like they believe, but then they don't believe, but then because they feel like it's them that's doing it. So if it's us doing it, then we don't necessarily got to believe in God. You know what I mean? Though they kind of know. So these are these things that's hoping. But what the Lord said, it's going to be a day like none other. Yeah, so Matthew chapter 24, verse 21, for then shall be great tribulation. Matter of fact, let's go up one. Matthew 24:20. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, right? Because when you go to Second Esdras 16, it says that we should be pilgrims, right? Neither on the Sabbath day, right? We're here, Babylon, rehearsing the righteous acts, but Lord willing, once the time come when you have to be a pilgrim, hopefully it's not in the winter or on a Sabbath day. That way you're ready to get going or whatever. But then, hey, however the Lord may work it out, you know, because the Sabbath day might be good. Then you'll be at home, you'll be able to grab your things, and bust a pattern, and become a pilgrim, like the scriptures say. But for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world, right? So this is just telling you, it's a brand new. So like the chick was going about how they had all these different years throughout the centuries of that water reaching that level, and then it being raised back up, and then it must have dropped that level again, and they'll write their year in it, and it happened, periodically through different times until now, right? But if you write this year date on it, you're gonna always see it. It's never gonna go back up above that. Like, that's it, right? So this is that time, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be, right? Because what you didn't have ICBM missiles. There was no such thing as ICBM missiles, right? I mean, about the closest thing they came to, missiles is, making a big ass catapult and having a big rock or a boulder placed in there, and I guess you rope it around with some kerosene, and you light it on fire, and then you hit the thing, and it shoots that rock towards their building. That's the closest you came to a missile, right? But now you got not just missiles, you got hypersonic ICBM missiles, you got hypersonic intercontinental ballistic missiles, man. That's 1,000 times hotter than the sun. So it's never going to be a day like this where there were drones that had automatic weapons, where you could send in a drone dog with automatic weapons to chase down Jake. Because it's ultimately what's going to happen, right? It ain't never been a day like that, but that day is coming, right? And except those days shall be shortened, right? And everybody's talking about how since they did whatever they did at CERN, right? CERN, Switzerland, and now they're saying that the Earth rotation is spinning a little bit faster, and you could tell that the days are going by fast, man. There shall be no flesh saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened, right? And that's ultimately where we're coming to, right? Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. And at that time shall Michael, right, the archangel Michael, stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And he's speaking to Daniel, and Daniel's people are what? The Israelites. So the Daniel was going to stand up for the Israelites. He's not standing up for any other nation, right? And a lot of the so-called nations and things you use today didn't exist back then, and even now, when people use that whole thing of Jew or Greek, well, how many people are walking around calling themselves Greek, right? Not even the white people are saying they're Greek. The only people saying that they're Greek is maybe if you live in Greece, then those people might be saying they're Greek. But for the overall majority, there's no one in the world saying that they're Greek. But we got people saying that they're what? They're Jews, right? Right? Starting with the we do got the small hats to say that they're Jews, but we know that they're phony. So we got the Southern Kingdom, starting with the so-called Negroes, all the way down to the Northern Kingdom, with the so-called Puerto Ricans, all the way down to the so-called Mexicans. Well, we are the Israelites, man. So we should be saved. Michael, the Archangel Michael, standing up for us, the true children of Israel, right? Right. So, children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, right? Or tribulation, like I had said in the other one. Trouble, tribulation, same thing, you know, which as never was since there was a nation, right? Basically, same thing it was since since the beginning of the world, since there was ever a nation even existed. It's never been this time. Since there wasn't even to the same time, and at that time, thy people shall be delivered, right? Dealing with the elect, right? Everyone that shall be found written in the book of life, and the only one that's going to be found written in the book of life will be the elect, right? So the whole thing with this thought process that, oh, the water level had dropped down and they wrote 1616, and then after that they wrote 1821, and then after that they wrote 1912, and then after that they wrote 1932, and everything is fine. So there's no reason to panic. And oh wait, we got a little bit of rain. How did that rain help us? Not much, man. Not much at all, and it ain't going to, right? So you're living in what? Yes, look at Timothy 3:1. This know also, right? To addition to this is going to be a time that never has been since the world has begun, or since a nation begun, right? That in these days perilous times shall come, right? Yeah. So perilous, full of danger or risk, right?
Hazardous.
Hazardous.
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable. Oh yeah, it's gonna have vulnerable. Okay? Gonna be vulnerable. Yeah, those perilous times shall come. Even so, in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their homes with the sword, right? You may find a cup of noodles, or I don't know, you might find something, a can of soup or something, searching through somebody's house with the sword, right? And the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, right? With no water, the trees dry up, the fields dry up, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, right? When no water, it's just gonna have thorns, because no man shall travel there through, right? Right here in this news article right here, Arizona, Nevada, Mexico, that southwest area. I think even California they was talking about it. Because in the other article I read, it also put LA involved with that. It said LA, Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico. Right? Second Esdras also, we'll go up a little bit to 21. Second Esdras 16:21. Behold, what victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth, right? You got your so-called these, these so-called deals restaurants, and and they got these little value meals or things seem to be cheap, but then it's not even starting to see it's not even cheap anymore as they used to be. But okay, things are not as bad as it's gonna be. So people are still like the lady was, oh well, it's happened before, those things, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, right? Because you had the so-called lockdown. You had a thing where, like even the brothers were saying, when that happened, it was kind of like 9/11. The Bibles was wiped off the shelves. Everybody went and grabbed the Bible, but then it seems like things subsided. It seems like things are going back to so-called normal, but they keep telling you it's going to be the new normal, and then it is. You still see people walking around, even though they took the so-called mask restrictions off. You got places where there's no mask required now, and people are still walking in with their mask. This is the new normal, right? So, and it's gonna get worse, right? So it's like they think themselves to be in good case. Yep, and then with evils grew upon the earth, sword, right? People out there killing themselves. For soon as they got released out of the COVID, man, they said every major city crime skyrocket. Crime was the lowest it's ever been by them keeping things locked down, which might give them an idea. If that's the case, then shouldn't we just keep it locked down? Hey, yeah, martial law is coming real soon. You're gonna have it completely locked down. But yeah, famine and great confusion, right? They're giving you a lot of that. You know what I mean? They're so-called information or misinformation, and then saying that you're misinformation, but then tell you a thing that you've been learning your whole entire life, that all of a sudden it's not good. Vitamin C and D and things is not good all of a sudden. You learned that your entire life. Now these people saying if you say opposite of that, you have the medical misinformation, but you're telling me something that we've learned our whole entire life, that vitamin D and vitamin C and vitamin E and A and B and all these different things are good for us. Now you're, oh no, this is not so good, right? For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish, right? Perish, right? Which means to die. But then the thing said what? Perilous time, which means dangerous. And then in dangerous times or harmful or vulnerable, right? It said when you put in the thing, the vulnerability of you dying increases. Lack of water, food, bread, of famine, right? When you got no food, you die of starvation because there's no water to grow it. And the others that escape the hunger, right? You might have put some food away, right? Shall the sword destroy? So someone's going to come in and shoot you, beat you in the head with a bat, and they're going to take your food, right? This is 2 Timothy 3. I'm going down to 2. So 2 Timothy 3 and 2, for men shall be lovers of themselves, right? Covetous, boasters, right? Proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, right? So they're gonna say, hey, buddy, well, since I have I don't know, this amount of water, and you didn't store up water, you got, for a reason, you got a lot of rice and beans, but your dumbass didn't get water, but I have the water. Let's make a truce. I will use some of my water to have your food, and we'll do this. But they're gonna break the truce and kill you, so they have the food and the water, right? False accusers, right? Incontinent, fierce, despiser of those that are good. Let's look at that. Incontinent. Let's see what that means. Look up that word real quick right here.
Incontinent.
It's incontinent. Yeah, having no or insufficiency, voluntary control over urination or defecation, elderly, right? Basically using incontinent parents, like an elderly person can't control their bowel movements or whatever. It says lacking self-restraint, uncontrolled, right? So you're gonna be dealing with people who probably can't help themselves. They're gonna, you got those prisoners that's gonna be released out of prison, and those dudes that were undercover brothers, who at one time, hid that he was attracted to men, and that day, he's gonna, lack of bread, lack of everything, lack of incontinence, right? Restraint. They're gonna just do all manners of different things, right? So it's gonna be a day like none other, man. Verse 1, the word of Yahweh that came to Jeremiah concerning the dearth. So I'm going to definition, see what dearth mean. Definition of
Dearth.
dearth, a scarcity or a lack of something, right? So we're gonna have a lack of what? Food, lack of water, lack of resources, man. Right? That's the thing that's coming unto this earth, and it's in Europe and America. Like I said, I'm really thinking a lot of that had to do with the elites. They're drawing a lot of that water and putting it in for their bunkers, and all these different things, because all of a sudden it's bad to have cattle when cattle is, technically, if you go to their science falsely so called, the cattle's have been here before you. You know what I mean? So called, their science falsely so called, the cattle has been here before you, but the cattle's the problem all of a sudden. So yeah, so this is 1 Kings chapter 17, right? This is talking about, the Lord sustained Elijah, right? But just to point to it, just to say right here, it says, and it came to pass after a while, right? Because I believe this is Elijah. Let's see if I go up a little bit so you can see this. Yeah, Elijah. It's Elijah. And the Lord sent forth a raven to bring them bread, to feed them, right? And that's like another thing of the Lord's, men are gonna eat and drink. But then I'm just gonna go to the point. And it came to pass after a while that the brook dried up because there had been no rain in the land, and that's ultimately what's going on. You know what I mean? Because of these different cities and stuff that's together, or however they talking about global warming, global this, global that, whatever they're trying to say, that makes this a crisis. Either which way, either man made or God ordained, but which God ordained it anyway, because this is that time for judgment, right? So if God calls Esau to suck out a lot of that water so he can have it for his bunkers, so they could be the first fruits of slavery, hey, then so be it. That's what it is. But the rest of you are going to suffer because of it. Jeremiah 14, I'm going to go Jeremiah 14:3, and their nobles had sent their little ones to the waters, plural. They came to the pits and found no water, right? And that's ultimately what's coming down the, down the line, right? They're saying they're having a water crisis right now. They returned with their vessels empty, and that's ultimately what you people are going to be doing. You're going to be returning with your vessels empty. They were ashamed and confounded, which is what America, what? Confusion, babal, confusion, confounded, confused, and cover their heads, right? And there's going to be nothing for you to do but cover your head with sackcloth, so to speak, and you're going to be whining and crying and wailing. But look, a lot of you are going to be in trouble, man. A lot of you didn't even think to prep even a little bit, and you definitely didn't think to put up your spiritual money in the spiritual bank account, man. The Lord said that he has a place where gold and moth will not leave your treasures eaten or cankered, right? Because it's dealing with the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, right? Joel chapter 1 verse 18. How do the beasts groan and the herds of cattle are perplexed, because they have no pasture, yea, the flocks of the sheep are made desolate, right? Because without water, cattle needs to be drink, and even the Lord even basically in the scriptures reference you as what? As beasts, right? So whether if it's actual four-legged cattle or beast that needs water, you also need water, right? Because those cattle, you won't be able to, it wouldn't be worth eating them without any water. Oh Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, to thee will I cry, for the fire have devoured the pastures of the wilderness, right? And they're talking about all these fires, man. They're talking about because of the global warming, all these fires were all in Europe, and then of course you have all the fires that happen in America, and then they're saying that there's more fires than normal. They even had the Amazon burning, Also, all these fires that's going around the world right now to this day, and the flames have burnt all the trees of the field, right? Because those trees are like a great source of water in itself. Because those trees, they've had water, or they absorb and hold water. But if they're burnt, plus it's not raining, and now the cattle can't eat the leaves and the different things. They can't eat the grass, right? There's no water in the tree, so you could maybe cut out the tree and maybe squeeze the tree. Because I seen like it was like in the Amazon somewhere. There's like a tree, and they ring the tree for the water, right? But it's a certain way you have to do it, or it becomes poisonous, right? It says the beasts of the field cry also unto thee, right? So I'm crying. Regular people are going to be crying because of lack of bread, lack of water, lack of food, lack of resources, because they're going to be what? Perplexed, right? They're going to be in dangers. It's going to be perilous times, right? It says, they cry to thee, for the rivers of water are dried up, and the fire have devoured the pastures of the wilderness, man. Right? So all those nice green lush trees that the animals could have ate from, and maybe even you could have ate from, they're gone, burnt down, and they're still burning. Some of these places are still burning in Europe. Some of these places are still burning here in California, Arizona, Texas, all these different places around the world where there's fires, earthquakes in diverse places, right? The things that the Lord Yahushua told you in that day, what will be happening before his return, right? And those are the things that's happening right now. Revelation chapter 8, verse 11, and the name of the star is called Wormwood, which is really going to be the ICBM missiles. That's going to be that star, right? And the third part of the waters became wormwood, right? And that water and the things, the little bit of water that is going to be left, right, is going to become what? Wormwood. And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter, right? Poisonous, right? It's contaminated, right? And they're ultimately doing that type of thing now, because they're a lot of people saying beware. They're gonna probably make every city's water like Flint, right? Because they have an agenda, but the elect should be saved out of it, because what? These are the days that the Lord spoke about, man. Wars, rumors of wars, right? That time when all these plagues, the Lord said that he said he would send on Egypt, and he said he will do it again, right? Which means there is a spiritual Egypt, or there's another type of Egypt. It must be, right? Which we know that it's America spiritually, but the world in itself is under America's vibration. So with all that, I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakal Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the documented four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, Shalom. To you Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To you sisters, Akwaf, listen and learn it under your husband or your spiritual leader in meekness and in silence. Shalom.
don't